Start with prayer. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheswara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Yes, over to Kapilaji.
Ji. Okay, good evening, everybody. So, today I'm going to take a Horary chart. So, and I'll let you know ki how, by looking at the Horary chart, we can predict any event. Maybe it is longevity, maybe it is childbirth, maybe it is question regarding marriage, job, and so on. So, the today's chart, I'm going to post the chart. The today's chart is that it was a question which was put forth by the lady, that her father was admitted in hospital in ICU, and she wanted to know that whether he will recover or not, if he'll recover, by what time he will recover, what is the longevity of his father. These were the questions which were asked by the lady. So I display the chart about her father who was admitted to the hospital on 1st of March 2024, and the time when the chart was casted was 12:43:31. Okay, so since the query was ninth house, because the query is regarding the father of that lady, and the first thing, whenever we want to analyze a chart for Horary for any question, is to see the genuineness of the chart, the genuineness of the query. Now, for the genuineness of the query, we have to read moon and we have to read the star lord of the moon. If you look at moon here, then moon should be present in the primary cusp. Now, since the father of the lady is sick and he is admitted to the hospital and he is in the ICU ward, it means that moon should be definitely present in the primary house, that is the sixth house, and moon is present here in the sixth house, or it has to be present in the 12th house. The 12th house is the hospitalization. So moon here is present in 6 as well as 12, which means that the query by the lady is genuine. Even if we look at the star lord Rahu, Rahu here represents Jupiter and Mercury. And if you look at Mercury, Mercury is there in the sixth house, Mercury is there in the 12th house. It also shows that the query by the women, the lady, is very genuine and she very eagerly wants to know about the wellness of her father. Now, in such cases, whenever you have questions like this, that the person is admitted in the hospital, this is one question. The person is to go for the surgery, is the other question. The third one is that is admitted in the hospital, when he will come back. The fourth one is admitted in ICU, what are the chances of recovery? Can he recover? Can he come back or not? Now, in such cases, when the question is particularly asked that the person in question is admitted to the ICU, it automatically means that he is having some serious problem. And in such cases, we will not look into the ascendant subsublord or the sixth subsublord. We will not read the sixth subsublord or the ascendant subsublord, or we can say for the wellness of this person, which are the important houses. It is 1, 3, 5, 9, and 11. Now, here, in such cases, when you have a query, particularly about the person being admitted to the ICU, we will not look for the first house, the third house, the fifth house, the ninth house, and the 11th house subsublot. Here, we shall read the ascendant subsublot as usual. We will have to read the sixth subsublot, and we can read the 12th subsublot because the person is admitted to hospital, and as the query is that whether he will recover, he will come back, or are there any chances of his survival. Now, if you look at the first subsublot, the ascendant subsublot, which is Mercury, then Mercury here, if I go to the cuspal interlinks table, I'll have to look at the Mercury. Mercury has got PS, and since it has got PS, so Mercury is giving me the significations of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. And if you look into these houses, the first house is involved, the second house, the Marka house is involved, the seventh house, the Marka house is involved, the 12th house, the Marka house is involved, eighth house is involved, and now if you look at the sign that is rising in the ascendant, that is Gemini sign. And since it is Gemini sign, thereby the seventh house would be the Badka for this particular native. So here, reading the significations of Mercury, we observe that Mercury is giving me 1, giving me 2, giving me 6, giving me 7, giving me 8, giving me 12. Along with this, it is also giving me the houses of 3 and 9. But there is no way the fifth house is present, which is 12 to the sixth house, and which is very, very important if we are to talk about the recovery of this particular native. Now, we have to read the promise that is to be given by Mercury. Mercury, is in the star of Rahu as in the sub of Moon. If you remember it, in my previous lectures also, I have very clearly pointed out, then when we have to read the promise, we have to focus mainly upon the star lord and the sublord. We need not proceed to the sub-sublord. We are simply to check out whether there is promise of recovery or there is no promise of recovery. If I read the ascendant sub-sublord, Mercury, which has a PS, it is giving me first house, second house, sixth house, seventh house, eighth house, and 12th house. All the houses which are fatal for this native are given by Mercury. 1 and 8, 2, 7, 12, they are Marka, and 7 is also Badka. So it is not good. Mercury is in the star of Rahu, and if you read Rahu, Rahu itself is giving me 3 and 9. Rahu represents Jupiter and Mercury. Again, it means Mercury is present in the star of Mercury. And if it is present in the star of Mercury, you will get all these houses. So Mercury through its star is giving me all the houses which are very, very fatal for the native, and there is little or less chances of recovery for this native. To get an answer to this, whether he can really recover or not, then the involvement houses are to be either, negated by the commitment houses, or if I am to talk about the recovery, then the major house for the recovery is the fifth house, along with the third house, which is 11 to the fifth house, along with the ninth house, which is fifth to the fifth house, along with the 11th house. which is the fulfillment of the desire. So here in the commitment level, as Mercury is present in the sub of Moon, Moon has got no PS, and Moon is giving me which houses? Second house, sixth house, ninth house, and 12th house. So it is second house, sixth house, ninth house, and 12th house. Why I am getting 3 over here? The reason is that Ketu is present in the third house, and Ketu has got PS, and Ketu represents Mercury and Moon. Therefore, Mercury as well as Moon is also taken in the third house. That is why the third house is present in the significations of Moon. And in the significations of Moon, there is no 5. As there is no 5, that it indicates that the person is seriously ill, is very serious, and there is little or no chances of the recovery of this particular person. So this gives me a strong promise of what? The ascendant is giving a strong promise that the person will not recover. Then the sixth sub-sublord, that is Mars. We have to read it. Why? Because the person is sick, and because of its sickness or illness, he is admitted to the ICU department. So, sub-sublord is Mars. Mars also has got PS. It is in the star of Moon and it is in the sub of Mercury. Look here. Both Moon and Mercury, they have appeared when Mercury was the sub-sublord. Mercury and Moon. And here also in Mars, which has got a PS, again Moon and Mercury are repeating, which means that I am going to get almost the same significations which I got for Mercury. And if you look into the table, if you look into the table, then what you find is that here also the significations which you are going to get for Mars. Mars has a PS, it will give me 2, it gives me 6, it gives me 7, it gives me 8. So the kind of disease the person is having is a chronic disease. So it is giving me 2, 6, and 8. And if you look at the significations of Moon, Moon will give me 2, 3, 6. It will give me 2, 3 by virtue of Ketu, 4, 6, 9, and 12. So here the involvement houses are 2, 7, and 12, which are Marka houses. 8th house, 8th house, along with 7th house, which is Marka and Badka, along with 6th house, which is a house of disease. So Mars here involves all these houses, and the commitment through Mercury, which has got almost all the houses which are strongly signifying what? Signifying something really fatal is going to happen to this particular native.
Seriousness. Yeah.
Yes, it's very serious.
No
Something
five.
fatal is going to happen.
Five
No
is
five
not
is
there.
there. Yes, no five is there, which means the chances of recovery here, even by the sixth sub-sublord, is almost negligible. And then the 11th
Sorry.
sub-sublord, the 11th sub-sublord is Venus. And Venus here all has got no PS. And if you look at Venus, it is in the star of Moon and it is in the sub of Jupiter, sub of Sun. So when you read Venus, the Moon will give me 2, gives me 6, gives me 12, and Sun is giving me 8. Again, this is not a good combination. It is giving 5, some hope for survival. Because you see, whenever a person is admitted to the hospital, then the relations of the person would never, think of that their near relative has to die or has to suffer something which is going to be very very fatal for him. Say they are hopeful that there may be some chances of recovery, and that is why in the 11th sub-sublord, fifth has appeared over here, meaning that they are thinking about the chances for the revival of the native. So all the three, the ascendant sub-sublord, the sixth sub-sublord, and 11th sub-sublord, they are giving us the significations Significations of what? Significations of something like death is to happen, or something very fatal is going to happen to this particular native. Now, whether he will survive or he will not survive, we have to finally check it by the Dasha period lords, and accordingly, we will proceed to the Dasha period lords. Now, any questions, please? So, I repeat again what we need to do. So, whenever you have to analyze any horary chart, the first thing is to check the genuineness. The first thing is to check the genuineness of the chart. The second important point is that you have to check the ascendant sub-sublot, what it signifies, the 11th sub-sublot, what it signifies. And finally, the primary house of the question, whether it is sixth house. Say somebody is asking about surgery, then the primary house is the eighth house, right? It is the eighth house. Somebody is asking about, say, a knee problem or knee surgery, then the 10th house is in question. Somebody is asking about the kidney problems, then the seventh house is in question. So we have to analyze it depending upon what is the primary house of the disease, because that has also to be taken into consideration. Now, before I proceed ahead, any questions?
Sir, is this horary by number chart or time chart, sir?
No, no, it is the Horary number is I think it is something around 1200 and something. I'll let you know.
Okay,
I'll
okay,
let
sir.
you know. I'll let you know.
सर
It's a Horary number, that
सर
also.
रिकॉर्डिंग हो रहा है क्या सर?
Horary
रिकॉर्डिंग
number.
चालू है?
Can I
Yeah.
ask them?
I think it is
The question
1132 or
comes,
1232, something close to that. I'll
sir,
let you know.
रिकॉर्डिंग
Any
चालू
more
है?
questions? Any more questions,
sir,
please?
may I ask
सर
one, sir?
हाँ जी पूछिए.
When any question is posed to while taking the horary chart, how do we take the horary number?
Number, see, anything. See, when anybody comes to an astrologer
Yes.
putting up a question, then the first question by the astrologer is either he is to make the predictions on the basis of the natal chart. Okay. Now, while taking the natal chart, then there are again certain complications. What are the complications? Because if
The
we are to
birth
use
chart
the
may be correct or not.
yes, cuspal interlink theory, then we have to be
Yes.
very sure about the time of birth.
Time of birth.
Yeah,
Rectification
whether the time of birth is
so
the
many
accurate
things,
time
sir.
of birth or not. There are so many other things. So,
Yes.
what preferably a person does at that time is that he would tell the querent, you think of some number between 1 to 2193. So, remember God, and then pray to God, and then think about the query which you have in your mind, and then you give out the number. So, then whatever number that is given, so
But
on basis of that number, the chart is casted.
in the software, there are two horaries, one to some
No,
200
no,
some
that
number, and
yes, yes,
how do we
that
take?
is
Which
that
number we take?
it is 122193.
Yes.
In cuspal interlink theory, because it since it's a sub theory, so we take up to 122193.
Okay.
And in the case of KP, we take it up to 1 to 249. Okay.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
because that is a
Sir,
that Hanji, boliye.
So
sir,
between
is it
one
not required the place of
we have
birth?
to ask.
Hanji,
1 to 70
Is
we
it
have
not
to
required
ask.
the place of birth?
the place of birth. No, no, no. See, it is to be analyzed. It is to be analyzed. There are two different ways. Either the astrologer does it by taking the longitude, latitude of his place, or he does it by taking the longitude or latitude of the place from where the question is being asked. So in both the cases, not much of difference would be there. Not much
Here,
of
which
difference
one,
would
sir?
be there.
Here, which place,
It
sir?
is it is always good that the astrologer should use the longitude and latitude of the place where he is making the analysis.
Sir, this is from Delhi, sir, actually.
Yeah, this question was analyzed in Delhi, and that is why
Okay,
it is Delhi is taken.
okay.
Okay.
Sir, sir, what is the
So
Horary number?
May I let you know after the classes, after I complete it, I'll let you know. May I don't remember it exactly because this query is long time back. It was asked. I suppose it is 1100 something. I'll
No,
let you know
it may be
after I complete it.
it may be available in basic data or the basic data.
Which basic data?
Basic data is there now, sir. You can find out.
I'm not followed. What do you want to ask?
So there is a
What
list, no, with the star lord, sublord, and sub-sublord. That
Uh-huh.
list, yeah, it
Sir,
will be.
if you click here, basic data, if you click, you will get the entire the
List.
information, Horary number.
Yes, yes, we can get it from this. On the basis
Yes,
of
yes.
the ascendant co-rulers, we can get whatever the Horary number is.
Basic data, basic data.
Ah, so it
Sir,
is.
basic data is there, sir.
No, it is Mercury, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury. So what we
No.
do is Mercury, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury. What we will do is we'll go into the utilities, go into the sub table, and in the sub table we will go at the sub table, and then it is Mercury, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury. So it is Gemini. So what we do is it is Gemini sign. So we will go
Sir,
up to Gemini,
Kapilji,
and then
you need to go.
Mercury, Jupiter. It is Mercury, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury. So it is Mercury, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury. It is Mercury, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury. It is
So we should see the fifth cusps co-rulers, na, because his daughter asked the question.
yeah. I have already rotated the chart, na.
Kapilji,
I
you
have
need to
already
go there,
rotated
sir.
the
You
chart.
need to
So
Look here.
this number,
Nee. Look here,
Sir,
look here.
sir,
I have just wait.
Kapilaji, Kapilaji,
Just wait.
you
I am
please,
doing it. I have rotated the chart. I will take it back to number one. And now the ascendant which is rising is Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Sun. And it is Libra sign. So I will go to the utilities table in the sub table. And in the sub table, I will go to the sub table 122193. And then I will look at Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Sun. Libra sign. Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Sun. Libra sign. Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Sun. So the number is 1232. You get here the number? Number is 1232.
not that one, sir. You please go to this basic data. You click on this basic data.
हाँ वहां भी मिल जाएगा वहां भी मिल
Yeah,
जाएगा
directly you can get it
Okay,
number.
yes. I can get it.
That is the
See,
easy.
some that is fine. Sometimes if a chart is given as such, no other data is given, and you are simply making a chart on the basis of whatever is given over here. Then how to find out the Horary number? How to find out the Horary number? Say, for example, you are doing it. You are just looking into the data which I have given over here, and you just feed this data along with the place. You will get a chart, but that chart, whether it is correct or not, you will require a Horary number. For this purpose, always you can find out the Horary number by going into the ascendant co-rulers and find out the ascendant co-rulers in the sub table. And this is the Horary number 1232. Okay, this is one way how you get it. Now the second point you were telling here is that we go to the basic data, and in
You
the
see,
basic data, what you
one,
find
two,
is
three, two.
it is 1 2
Top,
3 2.
top. Yeah.
You will get the same number 1 2
Ah,
3 2. Is it okay?
yes.
So that is the number, right? Any more
Yes.
questions, please? Any more
Right.
questions?
sir,
Any more
you were
questions?
explaining about Venus, Moon, Sun. That
Yes.
sun has 3 and 5 also, sir, in cuspal in
So
the
what?
relative.
नहीं देखो
Sir, finally, what you said, sir,
Sun में
everything is
5 and
prominent.
11 are there. Okay.
Sir, when you
No,
getting the
Venus,
promise,
sir.
नहीं just one by one.
Okay,
We
sir.
were talking about Venus. The 11th sub-lord. Okay. The 11th sub-lord is Venus, and in Venus you have 3, 5, and 8. Okay. You look at 5. 5 of Sun is present at the sub level, very strong, right?
Yes, sir.
So the person the querent is hopeful that he may survive.
Okay.
Her father may survive. whether he is going to survive or not, that's a separate issue, right? See, the 11th sub-sublord is giving a desire of what? Desire of the querent. His father should survive, and you are getting 5. 5 is an indication, yes. Now, 5, appearance of 5 here does not mean that he will certainly survive. You get the point? Because that will depend upon what? It will depend upon the Dasha period lords. What we are doing is, we are simply finding here the promise. What kind of promise we are getting from the 11th sub-sublord? The ascendant sub-sublord and the 6th sub-sublord. So here in Venus, you are getting 2, 6, and 12, along with 3 and 9. And here it is 8. So appearance of 2 and 12 is not good. With 6 is not good. 6 and 12 means what? Admitted to the hospital with some problem, okay, with some illness. 5 means chances, but at the same time 8 has also appeared, means hurdles, right? 8 is not good, is not a good house, right?
Negation for 9, sir.
हाँ,
Negation.
नहीं चलो, उससे भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा सर, उससे भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा, because the
Eight-
primary
eight-
house is there. The primary house is 5. 5 and 11 has to be there.
8 is a resident of cusp. 8.
नहीं, it is okay, sir. 8 will negate 9, but 9 does not help to an extent to which 5 will help, because 5th house is the 12th house to the 6th house. So chances of recovery, okay.
Sorry, along
And
with
the-
5, 3 also is there.
3 is 11 to the 5th house, means chances hopeful of getting recovery.
Yes.
Now, whether they will recover or not, we cannot, conclude it here. Conclude what is given by the 11th sub-sublord. The 11th sub-sublord
So
is
recovery status,
simply,
recovery status.
So if this was the case with fifth sub-sublord, could we consider it positive?
5th sub-sublord. If you look at the 5th sub-sublord here is Sun. 5th sub-sublord here is Sun,
Ah,
right? And Sun is Rahu Venus.
okay.
Sun
And
is
Mercury.
Rahu Venus. Rahu is strong involvement of 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, and 12. All negative houses. Along with 7
Sir,
and
it
12,
means
Marka houses. With 5 and 11, hopeful of recovery. And then the final confirmation, if you look here, all negative houses,
No 5, no 11.
non-appearance of 5 over here means no chances of recovery. See, what we do is, when you read a horary
sir,
chart,
it means recovery status will be known only through the primary cusp. Primary
yes, what do you say?
cusp.
No. See, for the recovery, you need to have a group of houses. 5 alone would mean nothing. Appearance of 1, 3, 5, 9, 11. So the appearance of 5 and 11 is important for the recovery. 5th house is the 12th house to the 6th house. 11th house is the fulfillment of desire for the recovery. There is no 11 here. Simply appearance of 5 is there. And 5 here is appearing at the sub level, very strong, which will negate the 6th house. Okay. Which will negate the 6th house. But the 11th sub-sublord, by looking at the significations of 11th sub-sublord, we cannot make any conclusions. The 11th sub-sublord is what? Is a house of fulfillment of desires. It has nothing to do with what ascendant says, nothing to do with what the 6th house says. It simply gives an account of what? Account of whether the person is likely to recover or is not likely to recover, or there is some fulfillment of his desires or not. That is all, nothing else. 11th हाउस से हमें कुछ ज्यादा नहीं पता चलता है. 11th हाउस means only fulfillment of desires, and it has to be in consonance with the observations of the first, the 6th house, and the 11th house. Up suppose the ascendant gives an indication of strong recovery. 6th house is also giving an indication of strong recovery. Then here we can conclude that the 11th house, since it is involving 3 and 5, is also, we are hopeful of the recovery of the patient. You get the point? They have to be in consonance.
Okay, sir.
What is
Okay,
given,
understood.
what is given by the ascendant has to be ascertained by the primary house of the questionnaire, and then finally it is to be complemented by the 11th house. You get the point? See,
Sir.
these houses have to complement each other,
Yes, sir. Yes, understood, sir.
right? अब देखो इसमें क्या होता है, suppose sometimes a person gets sick when a particular dasha starts. Suppose a person gets sick, let me say that a person will get sick when the Rahu dasha starts. Then there may be any bhukti, any antra, any sukshma, any prana, whatsoever, no matter how much strong they are, the person will not get cured till this dasha is over. See, if a person falls ill when the Rahu dasha starts, and suppose the Rahu dasha is to end on 16/3/2024, the person will not get cured in spite of the fact he is having a very strong bhukti giving me 3, 5, 9, 11. Very strong antra giving me 3, 5, 9, 11. He will get cured only when this dasha gets over. So we have to think in terms of the next dasha, whether he will get cured or he will not get cured. You get the point? If you look into the book, it is very clearly given in the book, in Kalamsa also, in the Key to Learn also, that whenever a person falls sick at the start of a dasha, then he cannot get cured till that dasha runs. Any more questions?
Here, sir, at the start of the dasha means the
Whenever
after
Rahu dasha
there is a
starts.
no. So when he fell sick, we cannot say
See,
no.
no.
Is only
See,
about this.
the question, the lady has asked a question on 1st of March 2024.
Yes, sir.
Rahu dasha started at that time. Rahu dasha was running.
It was running, but Rahu dasha is ending 16/3.
No. It is ending on 16/3/2024.
Yes, sir. She asked on 15 days earlier.
Yes.
1/3.
Now, what does it mean that this person is not going to get cured up to 16/3/2024?
Okay. This dasha when the question is asked.
Yes. Whatever dasha is running.
Sir, may I ask a question, sir?
You read the book on Kalamsa in the chapter number 5th or 6th. When they are dealing with the 6th house and the disease, they have very clearly, Khullarji has very clearly mentioned that whenever a person falls sick during a particular dasha, then he is not going to get cured as long as that dasha period runs.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Ji, definitely.
Sir, if a person falls sick in a dasha, and if the dasha lord is signifying the 11th house and 5th house in the sub period and sub
he will not get cured. He will not get
he will
cured.
not.
No,
He will not get cured.
he will not get cured.
That means if suppose Rahu dasha is running,
that sickness will remain as long as the dasha runs. The intensity may vary.
but even if the Rahu is a significator, strong significator for recovery.
See, if we are taking the natal chart, in the natal chart, Rahu dasha, Jupiter dasha, Saturn dasha, Mercury dasha, Venus dasha, they run for a long period of time. Right? Now, if at the start of the dasha, see the point is, if at the start of the dasha, a person falls sick, he is not going to get cured as long as that dasha runs. Then what can happen? Suppose a strong bhukti is going on, then it means that the intensity of that sickness would be not that severe. It will be less.
I see.
It will be less, but he will not get fully cured of that particular problem. Right?
So if in the beginning of the dasha it happens, he has to suffer for 18 years.
Yes. That is the point.
Okay.
That is the point. Any more questions?
In this case, Rahu Dasha is very little. Very
Yeah,
Ah,
and Jupiter
we are
Bhukti is there.
see.
So should we
Yes.
check for Jupiter also, sir?
No. If you look at Jupiter, Jupiter has got a PS. Okay, Jupiter is in Venus, Moon,
Oh, sorry,
Venus.
Mars Bhukti. Yeah, Mars Bhukti. We checked Mars. Yeah.
Okay, so it is in Venus, Moon, Venus. So Venus, Moon, Venus. Venus is posited in the seventh house. It's a Marka house, not a good house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moon is present in the fourth house. End of everything, right? So if you look at Jupiter dasha, then Jupiter dasha Jupiter is present in the first house, in the second house, okay, and then in the seventh house, in the eighth house. You get the point? It is giving significations of one,
देखिए sir,
two,
fifth house also is there.
fifth. अकेला
Jupiter
fifth क्या?
in the fifth house is available.
See, time and again I have been telling.
11th is not there, no, sir?
Time and again I have been telling. It's a theory of group of houses. One single house means nothing unless it is supported by some other house. Do you get this point or not? अगर ऐसा नहीं होता, then where was the necessity of giving the supporting houses? Everything would have happened just with the appearance of the primary house. It will not happen. A primary house has to be supported by some other houses. This is a theory of group of houses. So when group of houses, 5 alone would mean nothing. 5 has to get the support of 3. 5 has to get the support of 11. Till it gets the support of 3 and 11. Or till it gets the support of 9 and 11. The person will not recover. 5 alone means nothing. You get the point? Is it clear, please?
Yes sir.
Any more questions? अब किसी का कोई डाउट है तो पूछो. So here what we find is what Mercury is telling us that the condition is very severe. Chances of recovery are negligible. Why negligible? Because when you read Mercury at the commitment level, there is no 5. 3 is there, 9 is there. 3 and 9 without 5 means nothing. Okay, and then again 6th house is appearing. 6th house is there in involvement, it is again reappearing at the sub level. Right? So chances of recovery, they are almost zero. You can say like that, or you say 5% chances, or you say 10% chances. That is all what you can say. Right? So after having studied the ascendant sub lord, we have to do it always whenever you take a Horary chart. The 11th sub lord, always when you take a Horary chart. Without 11, study of Horary chart has no meaning at all. And then with the primary house. And here the primary house is the 6th house, the house of sickness. Okay. We have already studied all the 3 houses, and all the 3 houses are complementing each other. Means the chances for revival by the father of this lady who has been admitted to the ICU of the hospital appear to be very, very less. Now, to make a final conclusion, we have to look at the dasha. And look here at the dasha. The dasha that was running at that time was Rahu dasha. And Rahu dasha is for how many more days? It is for 15 more days. Okay? Before proceeding to the Jupiter dasha, we will first study the Rahu dasha. And when you look at Rahu, Rahu here represents Jupiter and Mercury. Okay. Now, what are the conditions? Conditions for the death of a person. What are the primary houses? What are the houses which are required for the death of a person? That is the first house, the second house, the seventh house, the eighth house, the 12th house, and the Badka house. And in the present case, the seventh house is the Badka house. So the seventh house is both Marka as well as Badka house. Now let us study Rahu. Rahu here, if you look at the significations of Rahu, Rahu has got a PS, and since it has got a PS, Rahu itself is the third cusp sublord posted in the ninth house. It is giving only two houses. One is 3, other is 9. Rahu through Jupiter is giving, it has got PS. Jupiter also has PS. It is giving me first house, second house, fifth house, seventh house, eighth house, ninth house, and 10th house. And Rahu through Mercury, which also has got PS, is giving me 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. If I sum up all these houses to read the significations, then what I find is it will give me almost all the houses. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 8, 12. 11th house, I think the 11th house should not have been taken. 11th house, yes. The significations of Mercury will not have the 11th house. Anyhow, first house is there, second house is there, sixth house is there, house of disease, seventh house is there, eighth house is there, and then eventually the 12th house is there. Almost all the houses, they are there. 1, 2, 7, 8, and 12.
Sorry, along with those houses, 1359 also is there.
ये तो involvement है ना. Involvement means nothing. Involvement will not help you.
Okay,
Till there is a commitment. Involvement तो सभी houses की होगा ना.
There is a commit in the commitment. 3, 5 also is there. What I
So what? 8 is also there na. All these houses 1, 2, 1, 2, 7, 8, and 12 is complemented by the 8th house. And then the final confirmation is by 2, by 7, by 8. Okay. Now what are the necessary and the essential and the necessary conditions? In the case of the event of death, involvement of first house, 8th house, Marka, Badka houses is there, and commitment by the 8th house is there, and final confirmation by the 8th house is there, final confirmation by 2 and 7, the Marka house is there. It means that the Rahu Dasha is not a good Dasha for this native, and it may prove to be fatal for the native. Prove to be fatal for the father of this lady. Is it okay? So Rahu Dasha is not good. Now since Rahu is represented by Jupiter and Mercury, then if you remember it, a number of times we have discussed with your class that whenever you have Rahu and Ketu as the Dasha, then the planets which are represented by Rahu or Ketu should also give the significations of the death giving houses. And if they also give the significations of the death giving houses, then we can say with certainty that this dasha is going to be very fatal for the person in question. Is it okay? So Rahu here represents Jupiter. And if you look at the significations of Jupiter, Jupiter has got a PS. It is in the star of Venus, sub of Moon and the sub of Venus. Since Jupiter has got a PS, so Jupiter is there in 1, Jupiter is there in 2, Jupiter is there in 7, Jupiter is there in 8, right? So 1, 2, 7, and 8 are the houses. So the involvement of 1, 2, 7, 8, and 12 is there. Okay, 12 has come from Venus. 12 has come from Venus. So 1, 2, 7, 8, and 12 involvement is there. And the commitment is by Moon, which is again by the Marka house 2 and the Marka house 12. So involvement of 1, 8 along with Marka Badka and commitment by the Marka. And then the final confirmation is again by the Marka and Badka, which is the 7th house. Which means that Jupiter is also not good. Jupiter is also giving all the significations for the death of the person. Then the next planet, which is represented by Jupiter, is Mercury, which we have already studied. It is giving 1, 2, 7, 8, and 12. Commitment by 2 and 12. And final confirmation again by 8. So then all the three, Rahu Dasha, Rahu in terms of Jupiter, Rahu as Jupiter, and Rahu as Mercury, all the three, they are giving strong significations for the death of the person. And now if you look here, Rahu represents Mercury, Mercury is present in the 8th house. Okay. Rahu represents Mercury and Mercury is present in the 8th house. So they are all giving strong significations for the death of the person. But to conclude it, this is the first point that we have done is, in order to conclude, in order to see whether death will be possible in a particular dasha or not, we have 3 rules. The first rule is that Rahu has to be a co-ruler of either the 1st house or a co-ruler of the 8th house or a co-ruler of the Badka house. Rahu here is neither the co-ruler of 1, nor it is the co-ruler of 7, which is the Badka house, nor it is the co-ruler of 8, which is the Marka house. So it is neither co-ruler of 1, nor 7, nor 8. But Rahu as Jupiter is a co-ruler of 1st house and co-ruler of 7th house and co-ruler of 8th house. So it satisfies the first condition that for a dasha lord, it should be, the first rule is it has to be a co-ruler of either the 1st house or the 8th house or the Badka house. And Rahu here through Jupiter is satisfying the rule number 1. If I ruled Rahu as Mercury, then Mercury is present in the 1st house. Mercury is present in the 7th house. And Mercury here with PS is present in the 8th house. So both Jupiter and Mercury are satisfying rule number 1. So the first rule is okay for the dasha not to be good for the person. Then the second important point is that the dasha lord has to be linked to the 8th sub-lord. The 8th sub-lord in the present case is Mars. The 8th sub-lord in the present case is Mars. Along with this, Sun has got PS and the virtual sub-lords are Sun, Mercury, and Saturn. Rahu represents what? Mercury. And as Rahu represents Mercury, Mercury is present in the 8th house. So Rahu is linked to the 8th house, the 8th sub-lord. If you look at Mars, Mars is present in the Mars is in
So,
Directly,
Rahu-
directly Rahu is the
yes,
sub-lord.
Mercury sub.
Rahu is the sub-lord of the Mars.
Yeah,
Sub of
Mars.
Rahu, sir. Sub Lord is Rahu.
No, no, no. We don't have to take it at the sub level. It has to be preferably at the star level. And if it is not at star level, then we can go up to sub level. But the first preference has to be given that the Dasha Lord has to be linked to a planet at the star level. Rarely at the sub level, and in no way it is to be taken at the sub level. Okay, this column is to be totally rejected. Is it clear? This is
Okay.
rule number 2. So here what you find is the 8th sub lord is Mercury and Rahu is Mercury, so it is linked. Okay, it is linked. Is it okay?
Sir, 8th sub-lord Mars,
Yes,
not
sir.
Mercury.
Mars.
Mars, sir.
Mars,
Mars.
Mars, sir.
Ah.
Mars. These are virtual sub-lords, sir. Sun, Mercury, and Saturn. All the three have got PS and they are posted in the 8th house.
Yes.
So they are also the virtual sub-lords of the 8th house.
Okay, then you can take Mercury there.
Yes, that is what I am doing. That is what I am doing. Okay. That is what I am doing.
Or Sun, you can take Sun directly. Sun is also in the
Yes.
star of Rahu.
Yes. We can take Sun also. We can take
Saturn, it is also in the star of Rahu.
Yes, we can take it, sir. All the three.
All
That
the
is-
three virtual
all the-
sub-lords.
They are strongly linked to the 8th
Anyone,
sub-lord.
you can take anyone.
Anyone, right? Here also,
Okay.
if you look at Mars, Mars is present in the sub of Mercury and Rahu is Mercury. So no problems at all. Even Mars is linked to Mercury at the sub level and Rahu is Mercury, so it is linked. So Rahu is very strongly linked to the 8th house. And then the third rule is that we have to look for the significations. Significations
1 and 8.
for any Dasha Lord, it has to be significations of 1 and 8 along with Marka and Badka houses. And we have already discussed that Rahu as Jupiter, and Rahu as Mercury is strongly signifying 1 and 8 house, Marka as well as Badka houses. Okay, so it means that this Dasha is not going to be good, which means that the period is very crucial for this person from 1st of March up to 16th of March when this Dasha will be over. Right. Now, how to take the Bhukti? Now, the only Bhukti that I have with me here is the Mars Bhukti. Because the question was put on 1st of March 2024 and Moon Bhukti is over by 27 to 2023. So we are only left with the Mars Bhukti. Right? And if you look at Mars Bhukti, Mars is in the star of Moon, in the sub of Mercury, and in the sub of Rahu. Look here, Mercury is appearing, and Rahu is also Mercury, it is again appearing, and Mars has got a PS. Now look here, Mars has a PS. Mars is giving me 8th house. Mars is giving me 7th house.
2, 7, 8.
Right? Yes, and Mercury is giving me 2nd house, 12th house. So it is 2, 7, 8, and 12. That is the involvement, and commitment is by 1 and 8, and final confirmation by 8, or final confirmation by 7, or final confirmation by 12, or final confirmation by 2. Is it okay? So here, Mars, Mars Bhukti is also not good, and it is strongly signifying the death giving houses. Then, how do I conclude that which period from the 1st of March up to the 16th of March, when the Mars Bhukti will be over, which day is going to be fatal for this particular person? To get an idea to this now, I have to go to the transit table and I have to check the transit of Saturn, which is the marker of death, which is the karka. I'm sorry, marka. I said marka. It is the karka of death. And here I put up the date 01/03/2024, and the timing is 12:45. Now here when I look into the transit of Saturn, which is the Karka of death, Saturn is transiting in the sign of Saturn. Saturn is transiting in the sign of Saturn. And if you look here, Saturn is already present in which house? The 8th house. Right? Saturn is present in the 8th house. So, what is important when we have to look for the transit of Saturn? Saturn has to transit in a sign which is linked to the 8th SSL or the Badka SSL. Either of these two. That is first point which is important. Secondly, Saturn should transit in a sign which is either the co-ruler of the first house or the co-ruler of the 8th house, right? Or the co-ruler of the Badka house. Any of these three houses. This is another essential condition for Saturn to transit in a particular sign. To be sure that that sign can really give the significations of death or not. So Saturn here is transiting in the sign of Saturn. Number one, Saturn should be linked to the 8th sub-sublord. And I've already pointed out that Saturn is present in the 8th cusp. Is a virtual sub-sublord. Thereby, it satisfies the first condition. Second point which I pointed was that Saturn has to be a co-ruler of either the first house. It is not a co-ruler of the first house. Or it has to be a co-ruler of the 7th house. It is not a co-ruler of the 7th house. It is present in the 8th house with a PS, and also it's a co-ruler of the 8th house. It satisfies the second condition. And the third condition is that this sign has to be a significator of 1 and 8 houses. It is important. See, when we are talking about the transit of Saturn in a sign, that particular sign in which Saturn transit should signify 1 and 8, means all conditions which were applicable to the Dasha Lord are applicable here also. Is it clear? This is very important. अब suppose यहाँ पे Saturn transits in a sign which is not linked to the 8th sub-sublord, then in spite of the fact that the Rahu Dasha is very strong to give the event of that, death will not happen. If either of these rules is disobeyed, is not followed, or is found to be not applicable, then the death is not likely to happen. The death has to happen only when you systematically proceed from the Dasha Lord. Dasha Lord, co-ruler of 1, 8 or Badka, that is important. Dasha Lord related to the 8 sub-sublord, that is important. Dasha Lord giving strong significations of 1 and 8. And for Rahu and Ketu, if Rahu and Ketu appear, then the planets which are represented by the Rahu and Ketu should also signify 1 and 8. They should also be the significators of 1 and 8 along with Marka and Badka houses. After looking into this, we have to look into the Bhukti, and again for the Bhukti, it has to be a significator of the death-giving houses. Then we need to proceed to the transit of Saturn, and the transit of Saturn has to happen in a sign which should be linked to the 8th SSL or the Badka SSL, or it should be linked to the planets which are posted in the 8th house. Is it okay? 8th bhava. So Saturn here satisfies these conditions. So then now the third point is that we have to look for the significations of Saturn. Saturn here is in the star of Rahu. Look here, Rahu is Mercury. We have already discussed this. Is in the sub of Venus. We have already discussed the significations of Venus. Right? Venus is there in the 7th house. Venus is there in the 12th house. Venus is not in 1. Venus is not in 2. Venus is not in Venus is there in 7. 7 is Marka and Badka house. It is not in 8, it is in 12. And 12 is again the Marka house. So, Rahu is Mercury, and Mercury is associated with all the houses 1, 2, 1, 2, 7, 8, and 12. So, involvement of 1, 8, Marka and Badka houses, commitment by 7 and 12, Marka houses, and final confirmation through Moon. And Moon, is present in the second house. So it is present in the 12th house. It fulfills the essential condition. So it is okay. Right? So Saturn here is transiting in the sign of Saturn. It means the transit of Saturn in the sign of Saturn is not good for this native. Okay, because it is giving significations of the death, and Saturn is the karka of the death. Okay, is it okay? So after
Sir Kapilji,
Anji,
sir, why do you leave sub-sublord while getting the Dasha, comparing to the linking of the Mars?
दशा कहाँ छोड़ा हमने?
No,
Where
no,
did
no.
we leave it?
Second
Sub-sublord is
one.
Rahu.
No, sub-sublord. Eighth, Dasha Lord should be related to the 8th SSL. 8th SSL is the
8 SSL is Mars.
Mars. Is the Mars directly connected to the Rahu?
No.
Yes,
It is not only Mars. It is not only Mars. It is Sun, Mercury, and Saturn also.
No, that is okay, sir. That directly connected to
See, look, no, it's not like that.
Sub-sublord, you are not at all getting the sub-sublord.
No.
While this one.
See, try to follow it. Had there been known planet in the 8th house?
The priority, the SSL, why do you leave?
No. It's not like that. It's not like that. Try to follow it. See, what is the rule? The rule is that it has to be linked to the 8th sub-sublord, or it has to be linked to the planets which are placed in the 8th bhava. If there is no planet in the 8th bhava, and suppose the Rahu is in no way linked to the 8th sub-sublord, then Rahu will not give death to this person. Is it okay?
Sir,
Suppose there is no planet in the 8th house. Suppose there is no planet. Forget about any planet present in the 8th house. Okay? And Rahu is in no way linked to Mars. Right? Suppose it is in no way linked to Mars. Right? Suppose Rahu representing Jupiter and Mercury. Jupiter and Mercury are also not linked to Mars. Neither Rahu nor Jupiter or Mercury, they are linked to Mars. Then what does it mean? That maybe that Rahu is giving the significations of 1 and 8, the death of the person will not happen because it is not linked to the 8th house. It is in any way, it is not related to the 8th house. Therefore, death is not possible for the person. It is very important. For death to happen, you have to follow a series of rules, and one by one, and if all are satisfied, only then death will happen. ऐसे तो नहीं तो क्या होगा, किसी की डेथ कभी भी हो जाएगी, ऐसा नहीं होता ना. I will discuss a chart with you today. I had also one more chart with me to discuss with you. I think Murthy ji has already posted that chart. It was about the death of Mr. S.P. Khuller. I will let you know how to identify that which dasha is likely to give the death. Okay. Any more points? Any more points, please? Is there any question to be asked? Preferably at the star level. Preferably. It can be relaxed to the sub level. Rarely. Never at the sub level.
Why? What is the reason? That is what I am trying to ask.
See, the planet is to give the result through its star lord. That is why preferably star lord. Every planet gives the result, the stellar through its stellar status. Okay. And since it gives its result through the stellar status, then it has to be preferably linked at the star level. Strong significator. Rarely at the sub-level. Never at the sub-level. Now Mars here is related to Rahu at the sub level, and if you relate like this, तो ये तो हो ही जाएगा कहीं ना कहीं. It is not the rule. This is not the rule. You have to systematically follow the rules, na?
Okay, sir. Right.
Okay, right. Now, when the transit of Saturn is okay, that is one point. Now, the next point is about the transit of Sun, and transit of Sun in the sign of Saturn, it is okay. Because it is also, see, Saturn is transiting in the sign of Saturn, and we have already checked the significations. Strong significator of death-giving houses. Sun is also transiting in the sign of Saturn, strong significator of the death-giving houses. Okay, strong significator of the death-giving houses, right? And Saturn, I have already pointed out, is posted in the 8th house. And since it's posted in the 8th house, is a co-ruler of the 8th house also. So the transit of Sun in sign of Saturn is also okay. So now we are left with only which sign? The Mercury sign. The transit of Moon we are left with. Now the transit of Moon will really help us to identify the day when the death of the person is likely to happen. Okay, so how many days I have with me? Right from 1st of March 2024 up to 16th of March 2024. So within these 16 days, when the death is going to happen. Now we have analyzed Rahu, we have analyzed the Bhukti Lord Mars. Okay, we have analyzed the Bhukti Lord Mars. We have seen the transit of Saturn. We have seen the transit of Sun. Now we have to focus upon the transit of Moon to decide it, because the death has to happen between 1st of March 2024 to 16th of March 2024. Now, how to decide this? Which will be the appropriate day when the death of this person is likely to happen? Now, for this purpose, we have to decide the transit of Moon. Now, what is important for the transit of Moon? That Moon has to transit in a star, and that star has to be strongly linked to the 8th subsublord or the Badka subsublord. That is important. Saturn में भी यही point था important. Jupiter also we have the same point. Sun also we had the same point, and for Moon also. Then apart from this, that Moon has to transit in a star, right? It has to transit in a star which has to be strongly linked to the 8th SSL or the Badka SSL. That is important. Now, in such cases, when we are taking the transit of Moon in the star, please note it down. Then in such cases, in the transit, we never substitute Rahu and Ketu if they appear as the star lord of the Moon. Please write it down in your notebooks and remember it forever. This is an important point which I am giving you. It's not given in the book. It is not given in the book, and it's very, very important. The mistake what we do here is, see, when we are linking the planets, you can substitute. But when you are talking about the transit of Moon in Rahu or Ketu star, then the Rahu and Ketu star here have not to be substituted by its representative planets. That is very, very important. I repeat again. In transit, if Moon transits in the star of Rahu and Ketu, then Rahu and Ketu are never substituted by their representative planets. I'm only talking of star lord. I'm not talking about sublord and the sub-sublord. Here we can do it. But when Moon is transiting in Rahu star or is transiting in Ketu star, we cannot substitute Rahu with Jupiter and Mercury over here, or Ketu with Moon and Mercury over here. Okay, is it clear? So, coming now to
Sir, cases. They are all for all cases.
For all cases, in transit, Every case.
Mm.
This is very important. And if you do it, you are going to commit a mistake. Now, if you do it, if suppose you do it that moon is Rahu and Rahu is Mercury and Jupiter, and eighth sub-lord is Mars, Mercury and Saturn. Therefore, moon star is linked to the eighth sub-lord, and as it is linked to the eighth sub-lord, similarly the sun star is also linked to the eighth sub-lord. Thereby, the death of this native will happen on 1st of March 2024 at the time when the query was asked. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Right? But it has not happened. So then, now we were talking here about the transit of moon. Moon has to transit in a star that has to be linked to the eighth sub-lord. And eighth sub-lord, here we have got how many planets? 4 planets. Mars is one, Sun is the other, Mercury is the third one, and then the fourth one is Saturn. Okay?
So this statement I didn't get.
Look here. Eighth sub-lord is Mars.
Yes, sir.
Virtual sub-lords are Sun, Mercury, and
Acha,
Saturn.
yes. Got it.
So that how many planets you have as 8 sub-lord? Mars,
4.
Sun, Mercury, and Saturn.
4.
Okay, 4 planets. It means now which are the important planets which can become the star lord of moon in transit? Either it is Mars, or it is Sun, or it is Mercury, or it is Saturn. You get this point?
Sir, how is it Sun and the Mars is there? It's a
We will first of all prefer which planet? The one which are acting as sub-lord. Right? So I have 4 planets at my disposal. One is Mars, second is Sun, third is Mercury, fourth is Saturn. It means is one. Second planet is which? Mars is
Mercury,
the other. Mars is Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Saturn.
Saturn.
Now, Moon is transiting in which sign? Libra sign. 7th sign. And in 7th sign, how many stars you have got?
3.
3 stars. And the 3 stars are Mars, which has
Rahu
already passed.
and Jupiter, yeah.
Mars has already passed.
Jupiter.
Okay. Jupiter we don't require.
Yes.
Rahu we don't require. Okay. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
We don't require them, na?
Yeah.
So then, right? So then, what we do here is now Moon is transiting in the sign of Libra. Libra has 3 stars. Mars. Mars was one of the planets which we required. The second is Sun. Sun will appear in which signs? 1, 5, and 9. 1, 5, and 9 means in Aries sign, in Leo sign, and in Sagittarius sign, which are far off from this Libra sign. Okay?
हाँ जी.
ठीक है. Please, ये point समझने वाला है. This is very important point. Once you know how to do it, you can easily find out the day when that event is likely to happen. I repeat again, Moon here is transiting in Libra sign. Okay. If Moon is transiting in the Libra sign, let me use the pen. Okay. So here, the transit of Moon is in the Libra sign. And Libra has got 3 stars. Mars is there.
Okay.
Rahu is there.
Jupiter.
Jupiter is there. Mars has passed, right? Okay. Rahu is in no way linked to the link because we need to have only 4 planets: Sun, Mars, Mercury, and Saturn. Jupiter is also not there. So then what we will have to do is we will have to jump on to the next sign. And after Libra, it will move to which sign? Scorpio sign.
Scorpio.
Okay. Scorpio sign. So what we do is it has gone to Scorpio sign. Okay. In Scorpio sign, Jupiter is there. We don't require Jupiter.
Saturn is there.
Saturn is there. That is okay.
Mercury.
Mercury is okay. Okay. Saturn and Mercury both are okay. Fine. Is it okay? Both Saturn and Mercury, they are okay. Right? Either we have Saturn or we have Mercury. Now the question is which planet we need to select out of these two? To get an answer to this, we'll have to go to the cuspal interlink tables to find out of Saturn and Mercury, which is stronger. Now, if you look at Mercury, it is giving me all the houses, 1, 2, 7, 8, and 12. Saturn is also giving me 1, 2, 7, 8, and 12. Involvement in both the cases is the same. Because here also there is involvement of Rahu, here also there is involvement of Rahu.
Mercury is strong.
Okay. And when you look at the commitment level, it is 2 and 12. And here the commitment is only by 12. Which is stronger?
Mercury.
So it is by here. Yes, here it is. So Mercury on 3rd or 4th of March after 1645 hours. Right? After 1645 hours. That is the time when the death of this person is likely to happen. So it will not happen on the day he is admitted to the hospital, will happen after 2 or 3 days. And now to finally fix it, what we need to do here is we need to fix here the ascendant. And ascendant here is rising in the sign of Cancer, moon. So what we do is we enhance it to Leo and then to Virgo. Mercury Rashi, Sun star, Venus sub, and Sun sub sub. We have to adjust all these to find out the actual time at when the death of this person has happened. So this person died on 3rd after 1945, 19 hours 45 minutes. I have not calculated the actual time. So anyhow, this is how we do the calculation, and we find out that a person who is admitted to the ICU, that which particular day is going to be fatal for that native. And then finally I can have Mercury over here. So if I do it, Venus to
Sun also we can change, no? To Sun.
Sir,
sun
after
तो change हो
Venus,
जाएगा ना.
after Venus,
Moon के बाद
sir, after
moon
Venus,
के
you can
बाद
go. Sir, after Venus, you
moon
can
के
go.
बाद मून के बाद मार्स आ जाएगा. सन तो चेंज हो जाएगा ना. When you change the time, see, look here. Sun is here,
No.
right? 1945 Sun is here.
Okay.
Virgo
Okay.
sign, right?
Understood, sir. Yeah. So
Right?
that will
Are we
become
close?
Mars.
It will
Star
become
Lord
Mars.
will become Mars.
Yes. Mars.
Fifth.
This is it. Mars is there, and then the sublord has to be either Saturn or Jupiter. So after Mars, Jupiter will come first.
Jupiter.
Jupiter is there. And then here we can have Mercury. Mercury is related to Mercury. Okay, so they have to be linked to each other. Right?
Sir, after Mars, Rahu is there, sir. Rahu is sufficient now.
No, Rahu we don't take Rahu. Instead of Rahu, we take Jupiter because Rahu is not in 1, not in 8, not in Badka. Jupiter, because here you can't substitute, na. Rahu cannot be substituted with Jupiter and Mercury in the cuspal position.
Okay, right.
Okay, so then here from Jupiter, we can have Saturn and Mercury. Are they related to each other? Yes, Saturn and Mercury are related to each other because Rahu is Mercury, na. Saturn is placed in the star of Rahu. Rahu is Mercury. So Mercury and Saturn, they are related to each other. Okay. And then we have to check that whether Jupiter and Mercury are related to each other or not, because Jupiter should also be related to Mercury. Jupiter and Mercury. Jupiter and Mercury are not related to each other. It means the sublord I have to change. Saturn is related to Mercury. It is okay. And then finally over here, I can have
Sir, finally Saturn should check then,
so
sir.
it is Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Mercury, and the timing is 21 hours 16 minutes on 3rd of March 2024. 21 hours 16 minutes is the probable time when the death of this person has happened. Is the probable time. The exact time has not been reported, and neither I know that. Okay. And Mercury, is present in the 8th bhava. Mars is here, a co-ruler, sub-sublord of the 8th cusp. Saturn is a co-ruler of the 8th cusp, is placed in the 8th bhava. And Mercury, I've already pointed out, is present in the 8th bhava, and Mercury is linked to Mercury. Saturn is linked to Mercury. Now, what is important here? That the sublord and the sub-sublord should both be linked to the moon star lord as well as the sun star lord. So sun star lord is Rahu. Rahu is Mercury, and Mercury is linked to Mercury. So it is okay. So this is the probable time when this person must have died.